How's it going, you guys? I'm back here again on Thuy's 15-foot aluminum boat. This time we are right where the Sacramento River and the American River meet together, and apparently there's a bunch of shad running through. I'm here with a new friend. His channel name is Johnny United Nation Fishing, so go check him out. I'll link him in the description. And he's gonna show us the ropes today. We've got a bunch of little...
I don't know what's showing you the ropes.
We've got he brought a bunch of these little guys. They're pretty similar to what me and Captain Danny used out on Clear Lake to catch a bunch of crappie. The setup is pretty similar. I'll show it to you in a sec. And we've already got our lines in the water. We see people catching, so hopefully it'll be our turn next. Let's do it. Alright, so let's see what kind of rig we're gonna use. It looks like we're using some really light rods on some like 4 to 6 pound line. We've got 3 of these 3-way swivels on it. 1, 2, 3. And then at the bottom we've just got a little clip. And you said around 4 pounds? Or 4 ounces. These go on the swivels. Let's see what we can get.
That's what I'm talking about, man. He's got the cover. He's got it covered.
So he's got a fish on.
Right.
Hopefully it's not in the tango.
Oh, he got a. Oh, he's got a. Oh, no. He's got a. What do you call it? That's not good. That's. Yeah, that's like, what do you call that? Sacramento pike minnow.
Oh, really?
Pike minnow. Yeah, Sacramento pike minnow. Those are. That's what we use for striper. That's called striper candy.
Interesting. So we got a Sacramento pike minnow.
Yeah, that's
good striper candy, but we lost it anyways.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Oh! Fish on!
Oh, come on. Damn.
Come on! Wow. Oh! Fish on! Fish on finally, and it hasn't come off yet.
Oh, that's a big one.
Come on. Yeah!
Ah,
Oh, it came up.
finally,
Yeah,
I know.
it came up the line. You got it.
Way to go!
Yeah, finally.
Wow!
Oh, my goodness, that's a
Oh,
first.
fish on. Yeah, get him. Yeah,
Good.
they're coming in school.
Fish on!
Yeah, fish on. Look at that.
No!
Came up or no?
Came off.
Came up. Oh, shoot, shot.
Man!
Where do you put it in? Yay!
Sorry. That was the first fish that we've actually managed to land all the way to the boat. We've lost at least like 2, maybe 3 already. And it's been pretty slow, but everybody else around us is catching, so we know the fish are here. Hopefully we get a couple more.
Yeah,
Let's keep going. Alright guys, we've had a couple of bites, but fishing overall is pretty slow. Very slow. But Thuy is actually cooking us up some ribeyes and a couple of veggies. This is the first time that we've actually cooked on the boat that I've been here, so this is exciting. Thuy's going at it straight with like a blowtorch. Alright, looks like Thuy's all done cooking. All the food's back there. That was pretty cool to watch. Yeah, for Johnny. Now it's time to eat.
Yeah.
You hook up, you know, when we eat it.
Right when I'm in the middle of eating, the
Right on.
John's fishing rod goes off, but he lets me reel it in, and I get it all the way to the boat.
Yeah. Woo.
Ah, check it out. Ah, he's going crazy. All right, we're gonna bonk him and bleed him because our live well died. But check it out, Thuy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
Woo. You on there?
Fish on.
All right.
Fish on.
7.
Get it, Thuy.
Put the fish on. Woo.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah. Good jumper. Oh yeah. I love it when it's cat like that. Yeah. Woo. Yeah, baby.
He's running. Don't lose him.
Yeah. Yeah. Let him run. Ooh. He's strong, baby.
Yeah, he's strong.
He's strong. Yeah, good. Oh, shoot him up. Where is it? Oh. Yeah. You did a back flip, but I got it. There you go, brother. Woo! There he is, right there, the kisser. There's the man right there. It's a J.U. hammer, baby.
Yeah.
Bam, bam.
Yeah. Bam. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a nice one.
It's good. That hook right here.
Oh my God! Look at that.
Oh, it's not
Thuy.
gonna come out.
Yeah, hook right here.
There you go.
That's huge.
Yeah, nice. This is my first one.
All right.
Thuy's first official.
Yeah, on my rod. 2
Close.
and 3/4.
2 3/4.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there you go. Small one, but it's okay.
Yeah, small one, but we got it.
Yeah, we got it.
We got it. Woo! Nice one.
Nice. There you go. Oh.
That one's tiny.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh man, this little one was quite good though. Woo! Right on.
Good job, John. Oh my goodness.
Woo!
Good fighter.
Man, that's a good fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what time it is, but finally I got another one. It's a pretty good size. It looks really nice. Put up a good fight too. It was hard to net. So we have enough to cook for sure. Alright guys, I'm going to do something a little bit different in this cooking part and actually narrate over it. Let me know in the comments what you think. So American shad is one of those fish that is incredibly bony. I read that it has over 300 bones on each side, and it's gained a reputation as being probably the hardest fish to fillet. So first thing, shout out to Taku for really drilling this into my head. You got to scale them first. I got this little scaler at Daiso Japan. It's in Cupertino. I think it was like $1.50, and wow, this thing is really good. And what I really like about it is that the little prongs aren't super sharp, so if you accidentally like get your thumb with it, which happens, you won't completely mess it up. One thing about American shad is that the females tend to be quite a bit larger than the males. This is the 2.7 pounder that Thuy caught. He graciously gave it to me, and we're gonna try to fillet these fish. There's this amazing 2-part video called How to Clean American Shad by Captain Vincent Russo on YouTube. I highly recommend you watch it, even if you're nowhere near any shad. The skills this guy has and the way he's able to communicate them is second to none. I watched the video about 3 times, and you know what? I'm gonna give it a try and fillet these fish. It looked pretty complicated, but the way Vincent Russo was able to explain it, I thought it was approachable. I thought I'd try starting with the chef knife because the knife that Captain Vincent Russo uses is similarly shaped, and Taku also likes using a big knife, so that's why I grabbed this one. First, we're gonna cut the head off. It makes it a lot easier to handle the fish, and we don't really need the head to be on. It just kind of gets in the way. So after that, you can put the head aside. You could use it for a broth or something, but I'm just gonna focus on the fillet and use my knife to start lightly scoring a line along the top ridge of the fish. You can use your left hand to kind of apply pressure on to the side of the fish. I just kind of forgot in this scene, but this first score doesn't have to be very deep. It just kind of serves as a guide, and after that you keep scoring, feeling along the bones, making sure that you want to save as much meat as possible. Being as this is such a bony fish, if you mess up your fillet and leave a lot of meat on the bone, you won't have much fish left over to cook with. You're gonna hit a point where you hit the spine and the pin bones. You don't want to just muscle your way through this. You want to be gentle, and we are actually going to fillet the meat off of the ribs, leaving the ribs intact, and we're going to cut through just the pin bones. Even though I bonked and bled these fish right after we caught them, shad is still an incredibly bloody fish. If you bonk and bleed a rockfish or a lingcod, it will not bleed this much once you get to filleting it. So I've taken my time and I've filleted the meat right off the ribs. I think I did a pretty decent job, although to be honest, I didn't quite like the large chef knife because I didn't feel as if I got enough feedback from the fish. Being as the bones on this guy are very small and brittle, I think I was cutting through a couple more than I wanted. So here what I did was I got down to the bottom of the ribs from the inside. Then, without cutting the fillet off, I scored the top part just enough to get to the bones, but not through them, and then I just pulled the fillet off, and this left the vast majority of the bones attached to the skeleton, which was exactly what I wanted. So that first part was pretty easy. I think any of you could follow along, but now we get to the fun part. American shad has 3 distinct rows of pin bones on the inside, and you have to fillet each row out individually. It's pretty crazy. I had a lot of trouble finding the bones near the tail here, so it took me a while to actually start making the cut. I finally decided to start kind of towards the center because I honestly could not feel the bones. They're so tiny near the tail. So I really carefully did my best and cut along one of the side pin bone rows, and then just kind of guessed where the tail ones would have been. So the idea behind the technique of getting the pin bones out is you make a cut right against the bones on each side of each of the 3 rows, and then you use your fingers to just pull it out, and it should come out with the pin bones and the Y bones together. But this proved to be a lot harder than I thought, and I ended up leaving a ton of bones, specifically mostly Y bones. I repeated this technique with the next 2 rows of pin bones, and to be honest, I wasn't having much success. I was leaving a lot of the bones. They're just so tiny, they're hard to keep track of. I mean, even after being taught by Taku himself a couple more knife skills, I just was not up to this task. I would love to see Taku attempt this. I think he would have a much better chance than me, but I do think the shad would end up winning just because it seems so unfathomable to me that someone could actually remove all of these tiny bones. So Outdoor Chef Life, I might just hit you up and see if you want to go put your knife skills to the test. Anyways, moving on. So at this point, I had to be real with myself, and I said, you know what, this is supposed to be a fish fillet, not a fish puree, which is what I was doing to this poor fillet. So I actually stopped. I reconsidered what the heck I was going to do with these fish, and of course I called Thuy because he is just such a wealth of information. I love picking his brain, and he told me he made some kind of soup, so check that out on his channel. But for me, he said that I could try smoking it. Apparently it's a very popular thing to do. So I said, you know what? I'll smoke it. I'm just gonna fillet these guys as normal and leave all the pin bones in there, and then smoke them and eat the meat off of the bones. For the next fish, I just filleted it the way you would your typical fish. I did not cut through the ribs, I just went over that part, and then I just cut through the bottom, and that's it. Now we get to the big 2.7 pound fish. This one I suspected was a female because of its size, but I didn't know until I started cutting into it. So here I cut the head off, and look at that. What is that yellow thing? That is actually the roe of the fish. They're running up the Sacramento and American rivers, going back to their birthplace to lay their eggs. And fun fact, the American shad doesn't die when it breeds. It actually returns to the ocean, and that's why some of them are so big, and they've come up the river multiple times. Filleting this big fish was a lot easier than doing the small ones, and not having to worry about the pin bones is great. There is one thing to keep in mind right here. That part of the fish is really hard. It seems like there's a ton of, I don't know, it's kind of like a big bony mass embedded in the flesh. So what I'm gonna do is just cut that out after I fillet it. This is a pretty nice fillet. So to get the eggs out, I just kind of cut through the rib cage and gently use my fingers to pry the eggs out of the membrane from around the eggs that's attaching them to the body. I did puncture the membrane by accident, but luckily the eggs mostly stayed intact. These eggs I was reading online are super delicious, probably one of the better fish roes and more popular ones. So I was really excited to try them, and I decided to pivot my video from cooking the fillets to cooking these fish roes. So let's do that. Of course, this wouldn't be a fishing failure video without a bunch of mushrooms. These are my little white button mushrooms I got at the bodega. I'm using my 7-inch 2-man chef knife. I've been using it every day, practicing. I think I got the grip down, and I recommend that you use your chef knife every day in practice. These little rainbow potatoes caught my eye at the store, and I just bought them on a whim. I didn't even know I was going to use them in this recipe, but they're really cute. Look at the purple color on these guys. Sometimes you just gotta buy some ingredients and then figure out what to do with them later. This is fresh German thyme from my backyard herb garden. If you haven't seen my video on herbs and their uses, and also how I built the planters that I have in my yard, I highly recommend you go look for those, because incorporating fresh herbs into your everyday cooking is game changing. It'll take any dish up a level, and just experimenting and learning how to incorporate these into your dishes is a lot of fun. So these are the ingredients I'm going to be using today. The only one I didn't show by accident was the chile de árbol, but you'll see it in a sec. I've got my burner, I've got my cast iron, which I love, and I've got my olive oil. So pour some olive oil in there. Make sure the heat isn't too high. Do some butter. Butter has a slightly lower smoke point than olive oil, so mixing them together gives you that buttery taste without risking burning the butter as quickly. These are my dried chiles de árbol. You can get them at your local bodega for about like $6. This is my fresh thyme. I'm going to put them both in the oil. This is going to infuse the oil with these flavors before I actually start cooking with it. I'm going to put the potatoes in here. The thyme is fresh, so the oil's hot and it's gonna crack a little bit, but it's all fun. So take the potatoes, put them cut side down first. You want that part to brown before you turn them over. Once you turn them over, you're going to want to put a lid on it and let them kind of sit in that heat for a while so they soften. Don't forget to season your potatoes while you're doing this. Put some salt, pepper, maybe even some cloves of garlic in there. But here, they're pretty much done, and we're going to move on. These are my cut mushies. I'm going to put them in the same oil, and on a whim, I'm going to use this pineapple sage that I got from my fresh herbs. I'm going to season these guys, salt, some pepper. That's all you need. And just let them cook for a little while. Make sure they get heated pretty evenly. Eventually, they'll shrink a little bit, turn a little brown, and that's when you know they're done. Now for the fun part. I refreshed the oil, threw some more chilies and garlic in here, and now it's ready for the roe. Here's the roe. You don't want to overcook this guy. I suggest you kind of just sear it on the top and bottom and make sure that the inside doesn't dry out and get overcooked. I ended up cooking them around 3 to 4 minutes. It doesn't take very long, especially if you do a little bit of a higher heat. And the potatoes and the mushrooms really complement the flavor. The shad roe was really tender, buttery. It had a really great flavor that was not at all fishy. I really like that I used a chile de árbol and the garlic in this because it lended a subtle garlic spicy flavor without overpowering the rest of the dish. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments what you thought about me narrating over the cooking part. I kind of enjoyed making this. It helps me reflect on what I did and what I could do better in the future. I hope this helps start a conversation in the comments about, you know, what you'd like to see me try next, what you would have done different, and hopefully we can learn together. I love using these fresh herbs. I think everyone should have a couple in their yard. They're really easy to maintain, and I look forward to making some more of these. I am going to smoke this shad. You'll see it in the next video. See you then. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video.